You're standing on the dock. You see a ship floating at an angle, maybe 5 or 10 degrees off level, leaning to one side. Your first thought might be that something's wrong. The ship is sinking or in distress, but not always. Ships tilt for different reasons. Some tilts are normal and fixable, and some look perfectly stable and are actually a moment away from capsizing. Understanding the difference matters. So, how do you tell them apart? That's what we're going to work through today. When a ship tilts, it's not just one thing. The maritime industry has different names for different types of tilt because each one means something specific. There's a list: heel, angle of loll, and trim. Each of these has different causes, different stability characteristics, different levels of danger, and, of course, different fixes. A ship leaning 10 degrees to port could be perfectly safe in the middle of a normal turn or about to capsize, depending on the type of tilt it is. List is the one most people have seen without even realizing it. A ship with a list is leaning to port or starboard, and it stays there. The tilt doesn't go away when the wind dies down or the waves stop. Even in completely calm water, the ship remains at that angle. The cause is almost always uneven weight distribution. Cargo loaded heavier on one side than the other. Containers stacked unevenly. Grain or other bulk cargo shifting during voyage. Fuel or ballast tanks emptied or filled in a way that puts more weight on one side. It can also be caused by flooding. If water enters one side of the ship, through a damaged compartment, for example, but not on the other, the ship will list towards the flooded side. Now, here's the question you're probably asking. Is this dangerous? A small list isn't usually a serious problem. At 2 or 3 degrees, it's barely noticeable. 5 degrees, obvious to anyone on the dock. 10 degrees or more starts affecting how the ship operates. Crew can't walk normally, equipment doesn't sit level, and cargo handling becomes difficult. Here's the reassuring part. A ship with a list is still stable. Look here. The center of gravity is offset from the center, but it's still below the metacentric height, meaning a positive GM. Think of it like a weeble. It's leaning, but the weight distribution still wants to pull it back toward a resting point. It's found a new equilibrium at that angle. It won't keep tipping on its own. That makes list fixable. Crew can redistribute cargo or pump ballast water from one side to the other to counter the imbalance. Basically, removing or adding weights in the right places. Ferries develop a small list sometimes when vehicles aren't parked symmetrically. Container ships occasionally show a list after loading if the weight distribution wasn't calculated correctly. In both cases, the crew corrects it. List is a manageable problem, and it is universal, no matter where the ship was built or where it sailed to. Which is exactly like Saily eSIM, who are sponsoring today's video. Saily saves you the stress of buying and registering a new local SIM whenever you travel to a new country. No physical card or new setup every time you cross a border. Install it once and it works for every trip after that. Think about the last time you flew somewhere. You land, you turn your phone off airplane mode and start looking for signal. Then you're either hunting for a SIM kiosk in the arrivals hall, hoping the one outside the station isn't a scam, or bracing yourself for whatever your roaming bill is going to look like at the end of the week. With Saily, you skip all of that. You set up your plan before you leave home, and the moment you land, you're connected. The setup couldn't be easier. Download the Saily app, pick your data plan from hundreds of options, regional, global, or country-specific, and at checkout, apply the coupon code NAVIGATION15 for an exclusive discount. They cover over 200 countries, with global and regional plans if you're hitting multiple destinations. The app warns you at 80% usage so you don't get caught out. Works on iOS and Android with a built-in ad blocker that cuts your data use by nearly 30%. Get an exclusive 15% discount on Saily eSIM data plans. Download the Saily app and use code NAVIGATION15 at checkout. The QR code's on the screen and links in the description below. Now, back to ship tilts. Because not every problem is as easy to fix as a list or with Saily eSIM. Heel looks similar to list. The ship leans to one side, but the cause and behaviour are completely different. Heel is temporary. Sometimes it's caused by an external force, such as a strong wind pushing against the side of the ship and her superstructure. And when that force stops, the ship returns to upright. Sailing vessels heel dramatically under wind pressure. It's a normal part of how they sail. The most common occurrence is during turning. You know the feeling. You're in a car going around the bend and your whole body leans to the outside. A ship does exactly the same thing. The faster the ship, the tighter the turn, the more it heels. Waves can cause temporary heel as they pass. So can cargo operations. A crane lifting a heavy load out to one side shifts that balance momentarily. So, what brings the ship back upright? The same stability that keeps it afloat in the first place. As soon as the force disappears, the ship's weight distribution pulls the ship back to level. It doesn't need the crew to do anything, it just corrects itself. It only becomes dangerous when the heeling force exceeds the ship's stability limits. Extreme weather, an overloaded ship, or a combination of forces can push a ship past the point where it can recover. But under normal conditions, heel is just part of how ships move through water. The angle of Loll is one that fools people. A ship with an angle of Loll is leaning to one side, sitting at a steady angle. It looks like a list. The ship is floating. It's not visibly sinking, and everything seems under control. But she is in critical condition and could capsize at any moment. So why is a ship that looks stable actually on the edge of capsizing? Think of a stable ship as a weighted toy. The heavy part is at the bottom, the light part at the top. That low weight is what pulls it back upright whenever it tilts. In technical terms, a stable ship has a metacentric height above its centre of gravity, positive GM. An unstable ship looks almost identical, but its centre of gravity is above the metacentric height. Now tilt both of them. Here's what happens. For the stable ship, as it tilts, the buoyancy shifts to the low side and the weight stays on the heavy side. Those two forces, acting on opposite sides, create a righting moment, a force that pushes the ship back upright. Tilt it, it corrects. For the unstable ship, the forces flip. Weight on the low side, buoyancy on the high side. Instead of a righting moment, you get a capsizing lever. Now, because GM is negative, the ship can't stay upright. It tips to one side, but it doesn't capsize immediately. It settles at an angle known as the angle of Loll, where it finds a temporary, fragile equilibrium. And this is what makes it so dangerous. The ship looks stable, but it has almost no righting energy. Any disturbance, a wave, a gust of wind, crew moving cargo, can push it past that tipping point. And once it goes, it capsizes fast. There's another counterintuitive part. A ship at an angle of Loll can flop to either side. It might be leaning to port one moment, then suddenly roll through upright and settle to starboard. That sudden movement alone can be enough to capsize it. And correcting it the wrong way makes it dangerous. For list, you'd pump ballast to the high side to level the ship. Do that with an angle of Loll, and you trigger a violent roll to the other side. The correct fix is to lower the centre of gravity. Add weight low in the ship. Remove weight from up high. Fill or empty tanks to eliminate the free surface effect. But it has to be done carefully and in the right order, because the ship has to pass through the unstable upright position to recover. The Herald of Free Enterprise capsized in 1987. Water flooded onto the car deck. The centre of gravity rose and stability was gone. People died. The European Gateway capsized in 1982 under similar conditions. That's the difference between list and Loll. A ship with a list is stable and leaning because of uneven weight. A ship at an angle of Loll is unstable and leaning because it's lost the ability to right itself. Everything so far has been about a ship leaning sideways. But there's one more direction, forwards and backwards. That's trim. If the bow sits lower than the stern, the ship is down by the head. If the stern sits lower than the bow, it's down by the stern. Trim is measured by the difference between how deep the ship sits at the front and how deep it sits at the back. The causes are similar to list, just along the longitudinal axis. Cargo or ballast concentrated towards the bow or the stern. Flooding in a forward or aft compartment. Fuel burning off from tanks at one end of the ship during voyage. Trim usually isn't an immediate danger the way angle of Loll is, but it affects how the ship performs. Too much weight forward and the bow digs into the water. This can affect steering and slow the ship down. The propeller at the stern might rise too high, losing efficiency or even breaking the surface. Too much weight aft and the bow rises high. That can reduce visibility from the bridge and change how the ship handles. Sometimes a ship is deliberately trimmed by the stern because that keeps the propeller fully submerged and working efficiently. Bulk carriers adjust it depending on the cargo. Tankers manage it constantly throughout loading and discharge. So, back to you on the dock, looking at that ship leaning at an angle. When you see a tilted ship, it isn't always in trouble. If it's heeling, it's in the middle of a turn, or the wind is pushing it. It'll come back on its own. If it's listing, the weight is uneven. The crew knows. They're already fixing it. If it's trimmed, bow or stern sitting low, that's probably deliberate. The one that matters is the angle of Loll, because it doesn't look like an emergency. The ship is floating. The deck is steady. Everything seems under control. But the ship has lost its stability, and a single wave or a shift in weight can send it over. The MV seawall, covered in our video on the inclining test, is the most recent reminder of what this looks like when it goes wrong. Cargo shifted, the ship listed, and what looked manageable at first ended in capsize. If you want to hear more about the MV seawall, please check the link in the description down below if you haven't yet seen that video. If you enjoyed this video, please make sure to like and subscribe if you haven't already, and ring that notification bell to stay up to date with all of our latest videos. Before you go, a quick thank you to Saily eSIM for sponsoring today's video. If you travel and you're tired of hunting for SIM cards in airports, Saily eSIM works in over 200 countries. Install it once and use everywhere. Code NAVIGATION15 gets you 50% off, and the QR code is on the screen right now. The link is in the description below. Thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you all in the next video.